So if someone comes to you, they're having either anxiety or depression, and then are these the things that you sit down and talk about, which is, hey, listen, you need to set boundaries.
Absolutely.
Or you need to cut out the social media.
Yes.
What are the main tips, if you were to say like 3 main tips that you give to someone, they show up, they have this anxiety, just normal stressors. What are some of the things, the tools that you give them?
Right. Well, first of all, I start with their relationships, right? And we really kind of go through, if there's unhealthy relationships in their lives, we look at that. And is this someone who you really should be continuing to be friends with? Is this someone who's sort of feels toxic? Is this someone who's good, but you need to like have better boundaries with them and just put your foot down with them more? So I kind of go through that. And surprisingly, people are very like shocked when they actually take the time to say, wow, like, I don't even know why this person's in my life. Like, what am I thinking? It's really interesting. So we kind of do that. We look at the relationships. And then absolutely, if somebody is on social media all the time, I look at how they're curating, what information they take in. Are they on their phone all day long, particularly at night or, in the morning? So social media is kind of like its own entity now. It's like there's relationships, there's social media.
Wow.
And then there's just their own personal day-to-day routine that I really like to focus in on, like how they, are they walking? Are they exercising? What are they eating? I mean, nutrition is a big focus for me as well. I think it's not that complicated, and I think it can be overwhelming with all of the information out there, but it just starts with like basic good whole foods. It doesn't have to be like, oh, this macro, that macro, this, keto, high carb, low carb. It's just eat good food and stay away from processed stuff. That's a great starting point for a lot of people.
I love that you brought up, because you got these 3 pillars, right? There's relationships, social media is one of a pillar, and there's the discipline of diet and exercise and your daily routine.
Yeah.
Relationships. The fact that you brought that up, it just struck a chord with me because it's so important to surround yourself with people that are going to be uplifting, that are going to be supportive, and that aren't toxic.
Yes.
And like
Yes.
I think, and you probably see this in your patient, in the patients, but like, don't you think it's just so important that if there is a toxic person in your life, you cut them out?
Absolutely.
Like life is too short to have to deal. And sometimes it could be hard. Sometimes it could be a long-term time friend.
Yeah.
But I mean, I know that I'm very, very selective. Who's going to be in my inner circle? Who's going to be who I'm going to be friends with? And people try to become friends with you, and you realize this person should not be in my life. Aren't going to help me achieve my goals. They're not going to be there to support me. Yeah. There's either negativity, they're toxic, whatever it is.
Right. And I think a good sort of barometer, if you're not sure, is I think it's easy for people to be your friend when you're going through a hard time, to kind of like be supportive. But when you have success and you achieve something really good, is that person there to celebrate you? Or do they feel competitive with you? Or are they jealous? So that's something that I think can be helpful for people to look at, because a lot of times it's like, oh, when you're down and out, sure, I can be your friend, but are you really going to be there for me when I'm not, down and out, and I'm actually like doing really well and things are going my way and I'm achieving things and I'm successful? So I think that's a good thing to look at.
That's interesting, because I would almost think in some instances it would be the reverse,
well,
right?
The
what I mean?
The reverse is possible too.
The reverse,
Absolutely.
it's like there's this, well, I guess there's this different groups of people, but this is the subtle thing that you brought up and that I just didn't think about, is that there are those people that may pretend to be your friends or they're your friends, but they're really rooting for you not to succeed.
Yeah. I mean,
behind the scenes, they're wishing, they're wishing that you, like, I feel at least, and maybe this is my psychological problem, but I almost feel like sometimes, like if I'm going to either have a big trial coming up or something's happening, and other people know about it, there's some people out there that are like, I hope he loses. You know what I mean?
Right. I mean,
Isn't that
and
scary to think?
It's sort of a dark part of human nature, and I think, listen, I mean, I don't want to sound, terribly like Machiavellian, but I think that a lot of times people want the best for you, but if you're not happy within yourself and you're insecure about your own achievements, it's hard to, I think, feel good for somebody else. And I think that's an interesting, I think part of the human psyche is that, like, when you're not feeling good, it's hard to feel good for other people, at a very basic level. So being secure within yourself is like a great reason to go to therapy. You know, like if you're feeling like I'm just not happy where I am in my life, I'm not achieving what I want, you know, even with the social media stuff, I'm seeing X, Y, and Z, you know, friends doing this and that, but I can't seem to get, you know, moving in my career.
Yeah.
You know, talk to a therapist, you know, see what's holding you back. You know, maybe it's, you know, your own lack of confidence or who knows, but address it, you know, and you'll be better for yourself and for everybody in your life.